here with Half Dozen Customs. We're out here working on the Jeep today. Last night, off camera, I stripped all the unnecessary hardware off of the front of this firewall. There was nuts and bolts and screws and straps and just all types of just unnecessary stuff. So I actually have a whole box just full all these as I make a mess, all these nuts and bolts, all this stuff, just a whole bunch of crap that has been added to this thing over the years. And I removed it all. I didn't film it because it was basically like me grabbing a bolt with the vice grip on this side and then going to the inside and impacting it, and then me coming back on the outside, grabbing another bolt with the vice grips, going back inside. So it was just a lot of back and forth, and I wasn't going to carry the camera around with me for that. Maybe if I would have strapped it to my chest, but didn't think of that. Just kept working and kept pulling stuff. So now we have this giant mess that we need to clean up. Now there's cracks and pieces of metal missing and whatnot, both sides. Now I did not count those. I just counted like the holes, and I counted 92 holes that we have to weld up and get rid of. Some of it, like this one down here, we're gonna cut that whole thing out and we'll make a new piece to put in there, so we'll eliminate all that in like one shot. But a lot of this stuff we're gonna have to go through. We're gonna have to make patches for it, and weld them in. So now our journey starts to start cleaning up this firewall. Before we start welding up holes and getting stuff cleaned up, there is this plate here that was obviously added for strength for something that used to be mounted there, that is no longer there. Actually, you know what? I am going to go look at my other Jeep because I was just getting ready to remove that. I had the tools here, compressor was full. I was going to remove that plate. I'm gonna go look at the other Jeep. I have a feeling that that's where the battery box mounts. I'll be right back. Well, I guess I could bring you guys with me. We could go look at this other Jeep real quick. So he did say that he wanted to mount the battery back there, and we're going to take the battery box out of this other Jeep. So this is my Jeep. I took it in trade for partial payment. Yeah, that's exactly what that is for. So there is a couple of holes there that need to stay. All right. So there's a couple things that we're going to be stripping off of this thing. The wipers need to come off of it. That battery box has got to come off of it. I got to get up underneath the dashboard and see what kind of condition that vent is in, because we need to make this vent work. And for some, well, probably because it was locked up and frozen, somebody cut it. Probably so they could get it open and then caulk it shut, because it was caulked shut. So it looks to me like the battery thing mounts here. Is there another hole? Yeah, there's a hole right there. It's buried in caulk. So I think that hole and this hole here are for the battery box. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go snap a couple pictures of that so that I can figure this out. Be right back. All right, so yeah, so there's that plate. The plate's gonna stay there. I did poke out. They had this one hole here sealed up with caulk. So that's the hole that we got to keep. We got to keep this hole. So this hole, this one, and this one have to stay. The rest of them I can get rid of. So this hole on the inside and this hole on the inside actually are some braces that they added to hold the heater box that's inside. So this thing. So my original plan was that I was gonna cut the head off of a bolt and stick it through that hole and weld it so that those braces can still bolt up through there. Now I may be able to push him over to this one. We'll have to see. If I can push it over to this one and it doesn't affect nothing, then we'll just weld him up and those braces will get bolted on with the battery box. Those braces might actually be a factory brace now. I thought that they were added, but it's possible that they weren't. Nah, they were added, and they're angle iron. They're not. They're pretty stout. So this one I will have to put a bolt through, and it'll have to get welded in. But this hole stay, and then this hole it'll bolt that bracket and the battery box. So, and then like I said, we'll just weld up all these extra holes that are in here, and it is what it is. Yay. There's a couple less holes now that I gotta weld up, I guess. So, change of plan, I guess. I like I said, I grabbed my tools to come here and pull that plate off because I figured it'd be cleaner without the plate, but if we're gonna be using that battery box, then that plate needs to stay. All right. Really wish I could get back there and hammer and dolly some of this stuff because it is kind of beat up, but so this one's dimpled out. I'm gonna try and dimple it back in. Better. It's better. Okay, say we just start grinding up some of these holes, and we'll get a few of them grinded up, and I'll drag the welder over and we'll weld them up, and we'll grind a few more and weld a few more. It ain't gonna get done any other way. You just gotta get to it. So we had talked about in previous videos about possibly cutting this whole firewall out and building a new one. And I talked with my buddy who owns a truck, and he didn't want to do that. So we're just gonna go through and weld all these up. And do some wire wheeling on some of this, but I think it's gonna have to be sandblasted. So like these square things, this stuff, like this was the old windshield wiper motor. These were the wheels that the old wiper motor ran on cables. These were for the wheels. This has a modern windshield wiper setup in it now that has actual arms that move back and forth. So we're gonna cut these off and we're gonna weld them up and whatnot. So let me grab the wire wheel and see if we can get a little more of that cleaned up. Like I said, some of it's gonna have to be blasted, but I hate sandblasting, so let's see what we can do with the wire wheel. Some of these smaller things we're just going to weld them, but some of the bigger ones, you know, we'll have to make a little plug for them. There's a couple of factory ones that had plugs in them that obviously you could knock out for whatever reason. We're going to weld those up too. Okay, I don't really have a plan of attack with this other than to just, you know, start welding some stuff up. So there's just so much to it. There's just so many holes, so many cracks. So I figure if we just start welding some stuff up, it'll start to come together, and maybe we'll, you know, get on a roll. Let me see about some plugs. So some of these smaller ones, like this one, so I have that hole punch tool that I've already checked it. Like it punches out a decent sized piece of metal to fill those, but the bigger ones, we're gonna have to make something. I don't know necessarily that we're gonna make round ones. Just if we can pop something in that hole. Don't really care if it's round or not. And the only reason, instead of me like going through it, just welding it up, I don't want these big giant booger welds on the inside that I have to go back and grind up. So if I can try and save some of that from happening. You know, it's going to get bed lined on the inside, so if I can keep grinding down to a minimum in there, then the bed liner should take care of most of it. One, and that was one of the little plugs from my hole punch tool that I happened to find on the floor. I don't know if that was more of a pain in the butt than it was for good. What's it look like from the inside? Nice crack there too. Have to weld that up. So it looks good from the inside. It's not some big giant boogery weld, which is what I was not wanting. See if I have a smaller magnet or something. Okay, I think I found a better magnet. Got these little, they look like little pawn pieces or whatever. I got them off of Amazon. They're working better. Problem that I was having was that stick that I was using. As the metal got to the edge of the magnet, it was wanting to push the metal away instead of magneting to it. Blah. So yeah, it just wasn't wanting to work for me. And these little pawn magnets aren't doing that. It doesn't matter how close the metal gets to the edge, it's still magnet to it. So I was able to get this one little square in that hole. We'll weld him up real quick. got my little hole puncher guy. Let's punch some holes out. Wish this guy made just a little bit bigger. So now we got a whole bunch of these little plugs that we can put into some of these smaller holes. See what we can do. I need to get a stud in that one. And I'd like to start tracing these out. I really need somebody to hold it from the backside so that I can trace the circle onto the new piece of metal. Maybe we can do it with some magnets because I am all by myself. So I'm gonna take, you guys can't see over there. So I'm gonna take just one of our bolts here that we've been using to piece the truck back together. Let me see if I can. It'd be cool if I could cut it off and just leave a little enough of that like tapered end that it has, so that when I stick it through the hole it doesn't fall all the way through. But I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. I'm gonna give that a minute to cool off. I think I cut it just right to where we can put that in and it won't fall all the way through. We can actually bolt it from the back, because I would like it to be bolted and have some pressure on it when we weld it. Because I want to be able to crank everything tight before we do body work, because for some odd reason that heater box gets taken out, and they unbolt that from the firewall and then go to bolt it back up. If the pressure's not on there when I weld it and do the body work, then when they crank it tight and put pressure on it, it could crack our body work. So I want it cranked tight with all the pressure on it. So it would be nice to put this through the hole, you know, get it tightened up a little bit, weld it up, crank it tight, and then leave it. I don't think I'm gonna be taking these braces out for any reason. And I don't see anybody else taking them out, but you never know. So we'll try and make it to where if it does get messed with, it doesn't break. Doesn't crack the body work. You should have seen the bolts. Maybe if you go back in other videos, you can see the bolts. But the bolts that they had through that I'm doing right now, I mean, they were like this long with a bunch of washers, and they actually had like 2 bolts on it, and it was just not good looking. Look, I cut some of it off right there just so I could get a socket on it. It was pretty messed up what they had going on. Alright, he should be welded in there good. So now let's see if we can mark some holes. This guy's dented in right here. He's one of the ones that we're going to use for the battery box. I think I'm going to try and stick it, not right this minute, but I'm going to stick a bolt through from the back side, and then I'll use my dent puller that has the vice grips on it. We'll grip onto that bolt and we'll slide hammer it a little bit, and we'll pull that dent out. So, you know, bodywork stuff, but see, it would be nice if I had somebody hold. I could just give them a handful of metal, and we could just get them all marked out at once, and I could get them all cut out at once. Well, we got a couple marked out. That's a start. Alright, we kind of got those nipped out. Now we got to clean them up. Grinder, vice grips. You ever have one of those days where you're just aggravated for no reason? I'm having one of those days today. Maybe I'm just hangry and need a Snickers bar. I was thinking maybe if I trace around it, we would be okay, but I think there's just way too much, way too big. Ooh, that magnet was hot. Almost. Well, it fits through the hole. Well, we got 2 plugs made. we got those welded up. So I just, you know, as you can see, I've just been welding everything up hot and solid. You know, I want good penetration. I don't want anything cracking or coming back. And there's so many body lines and plates and bends, and there's so much structure in this firewall. I'm not too worried about it warping. And not only that, but I gotta come back and body work all this stuff anyways, because there's just so much wrong with this firewall. You know, even if we did warp it a little bit, I'm not too worried about it because we're gonna have to body work it all out. So, you know, we're correcting some major issues here, so I think we'll be good. But anyways, I'm gonna go take a break, find something to eat, maybe find something to watch for a little bit. So for being in the mood that I am, I think we accomplished something, which is better than the way I was feeling, because the way I was feeling, I didn't want to do much of anything today. So I'm glad that we got something done, and I will be back out here to do more. What I would like to get done tonight is I would like to get everything on this lower section, minus maybe him we can get cut out and get a new piece tacked in place, but I would like to get the rest of these holes on this side welded up, so that we can pretty much, minus that large hole on the bottom, maybe we can get that, maybe we won't, but I would like to say that side is mainly done tonight, and maybe we can even get into the center of the firewall. But I figure, you know, over the next couple of days, we should be able to knock this firewall out and be done with it. So at least that's the plan. That's what I'm hoping. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. I need to go find a Snickers bar. I'm out. Okay, so we're back out here. I had Colleen come out here and she held up pieces of metal on all the circles that we need to cut out. So I'm just gonna sit here and cut these out. So let's get to it. Okay, so we got those all nipped out with the nippers or hand shears. Now I need to grab each one with the vice grip and clean them up like we were doing earlier and get them all cleaned up. So many holes, so many. All right, so now we're gonna get these grinded up. We got these all cut out. Now we'll have to grind them up just like we did before on the other couple that we've put in so far. So I'm gonna get all these grinded up, and then I'm gonna clean up the shop because we got a little bit of a mess going on. So I can't work like that. Well, as you can see, we have these all lettered. As I was marking them out, I lettered, like this one, C, and then it's also lettered on the firewall, so I know exactly where this one goes. Could have numbered them, but I don't know, for some odd reason I lettered them. Which I guess wasn't the best of ideas, because I'm better at numbers than I am at the alphabet, apparently. Luckily I had Colleen out here helping me. She was able to tell me what letter we were on next, so that I didn't have to go through the alphabet in my head. I don't think I've ever, in any project I've ever worked on, had to fill this many holes in something. If you guys can or can't hear it, it's raining out. I said it before, we're in a metal building, so it gets noisy. It's been raining all morning. Alright, so that's it for all the main ones. Now there's still a ton of little ones that we haven't done anything for. You've seen that I was just cutting little squares off some scrap metal and sticking those in the holes and welding it up. That's probably what we'll still continue to do, instead of, you know, sitting here trying to make tiny circles. You know, it's getting welded in anyways. Like I said before, the only reason that I'm putting anything in there instead of just doing like a rosebud weld on it is just to try and keep the inside of the firewall a little bit cleaner, so that I don't have to grind and body work the inside as well. I probably will go in there and knock some of it down with the grinder, what I can get to, what you might see, and that'll be it. Like I said, it's getting bed lined in there, so that should take care of what I'm concerned about. So, but anyways, I'm gonna take a, I don't want to say take a break a little bit, but I need to clean up. We just got, you know, there's tool over there, there's tools up there, there's tools on my welder. You know, we got motor mounts here, welding helmet, we got valve covers over there, we got some stuff on the workbench, we got tools out on the toolbox. It's not horrible, but I hate working in a messy area. So to me, this is messy. So I'm gonna take a break and get that cleaned up, and I'll see you guys back here in a little bit to start welding some stuff in on the firewall. Okay, I got some of the shop cleaned up. To attempt to do some prep in here and get this stuff cleaned up. Sorry I put back on you, but I'll be here for a second. Just wanted to hammer that in a little. Tell you what, man. Some tough metal. There's a couple of these holes that we need to weld up. From being tightened or pulled on or whatever, the hole was kind of stretched out, and I don't want to weld on it and then go to grind it, and you're pretty much grinding everything away because it was raised up. I'm going to hammer those flat a little bit. Like this one, we're going to get rid of this one. That one, we need to grind him down. It's time for a new grinding disc. I think I've gotten all I'm going to get out of that one without trimming them down. So this seems like a good reason to break out a 36 grit. Alright, I think we got some grinded up that we can weld up. So I was looking at this earlier, and it looks to me like you got this line here, it drops down under here, and then this line is supposed to come straight through here. There's a bunch of hammer marks here. I think somebody hammered that in for the distributor cap on the 350. I was thinking about, you know, should we straighten it out? It is getting an LS put in here, but I think we're gonna leave it, and I think I'm just gonna smooth everything out just in case a 350 ends up going back in here. And the only reason that I say that is because my buddy that owns this truck has mentioned on numerous occasions about ditching the LS and going back to a 350. So I think that we have everything that he was concerned about worked out so that the LS can go in here. But you know, if he puts this LS in here and it's just nothing but problem after problem after problem, which, you know, sometimes it happens, he may end up going back to a 350. And if he goes back to a 350, that may be an issue if I was to fix it. Then he'd be having to smash that firewall back in. So I think I'm gonna leave it. I think I'm gonna go through some of the pictures I have before I pulled the 350 out and just make sure that that's what that is. Because maybe we'll go through and we'll straighten that back out. I don't know. But I think we're ready to, we can at least weld up some holes. So I shall return. Alright, we got set up for some welding here, I think, I hope. Let's see if we can get some stuff welded up before lunchtime. So I'm gonna start with these 3 little small holes here, and 4. Those welded up. I did see here yesterday a little missed spot through here. I'm gonna see if I can hit that. We have to get that after we grind it. So, let's see. Let's go up here to our cut pieces. I'm gonna grind this guy up a little bit. He was close, but not quite. This is the part that sucks about filling in all these miscellaneous holes. These are some strong little magnets off of Amazon. Alright, glad he's welded up. He was a little bugger. Alright, well, get those plugs in. So I'm going to change the battery out and then we'll weld those up. I am going to cool those bigger ones just because this is kind of a flat surface here that doesn't have much going on as far as body lines and stuff like that goes. So you know, this stuff, we have all this strength and structure put into everything, where this down here, you know, we got a little bit of structure going on in here and a little bit up here, but it's mainly a flat spot. So we'll still weld it up pretty hot, but you know, we'll do a little bit, we'll cool, we'll do a little bit, we'll cool. So try not to just completely destroy it. I knew that one was going to be a problem because that was the one that had that lip around it like this, and we ground that lip down. Now, technically what I should have done is I should have went in there with the reamer tool and reamed it out and remade a patch for it. You know, we just kind of melted the thin metal away until we found the good metal, and we got her done, so. There's one pinhole and then a screw hole that we just got, so. Alright. So, I think we're ready to move on. We can either do this big guy down here, or we can continue on with all the little ones. So, and I did while I was off camera for a little bit there, I did look to see why that was caved in right there, and it was definitely caved in for a reason, but it was not the distributor, it was actually the air cleaner. You know, they had a good sized chrome air cleaner on there, and that was hammered in for the air cleaner. So instead of just getting a medium size air cleaner or even one of those little tiny ones, they just hammered in the Firewall. So I will be repairing that dent. We will pull that out and put that back to the way that it was supposed to be, because if he does go back to a 350, he's just gonna have to put a smaller air cleaner on there. You know, that's kind of silly to cave in your Firewall like that to fit an air cleaner. Yeah, that is some of the stuff that was done to this truck before. I don't get it. So yeah, we will be going through and repairing that, and getting that taken care of. So yeah, we're getting closer. We're not close to being done yet, but we're getting there. We're not even halfway through yet. But it's already looking so much better, man. This Firewall was Swiss cheese. So, alright, I'll be back in a little bit. I'll see you guys, I don't know, a little later on. It's lunchtime for me, so I'll catch you guys later. I'm out. Okay, so we're back out here. If you guys remember, there was this dent here. I hammered a lot of it out from the inside. There's a giant brace inside right here that I can't get to all of it. Okay. I'm glad I was able to hammer some of it out, because I'm sure there's some tough metal in this piece. So I'm going to work on these couple of low spots first. I will be back. I'm gonna go get Colleen and have her hold the dolly. Okay, so Colleen came out. She helped me do some hammering and some dollying. We kept switching. She would dolly on the inside and I'd hammer on the outside. And then I'd go in and I'd hammer on the inside while she held the dolly on the outside. And we got it pretty darn good. Now, inside, so inside right here, you can see where there's a spot weld there, spot weld, spot weld. There's a brace inside right here, and it was caved in right underneath that brace. So this was really hard to get into under there because I couldn't swing a hammer because of the brace. I actually had to reach in through the dashboard hole with some vice grips and a chisel, and then use the chisel to hammer on the chisel to get up underneath this brace. So, but as you can see, we got the body line back going across here. It's nice and straight. As straight as it's gonna get. I think it's pretty darn good for what it was. So I'll show you guys inside. Like, you guys can see the brace in there. I'm sorry, here. Let me pop you guys off here real quick. So you can see that brace up in there. And that's, that's what we were fighting to get it, you can see my chisel marks in there, but we were able to get it. I'm super happy with that now. Much better. So, this morning when we started on it, we weren't really sure what we were going to do with it. Whether we were going to leave it in case the 350 was put back in, or if we were going to knock it out. And like I said, I went back through some of the videos of before when I pulled the motor out, and the only thing that I can see that's right there is the air cleaner. So you can see that the distributor cap is there. It's down much lower than the air cleaner was. So my guess is that's from the air cleaner. I didn't catch that was there before until we were there working on it. So it's hard to tell really why it was caved in. If I had to guess, it was the air cleaner, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because why wouldn't you just put a smaller air cleaner on it then? But who knows what, what's the thoughts behind people, they really wanted that chrome air cleaner on there, I guess. But, yeah, so I think we're good. I'm gonna call it a night here. We will come back out here tomorrow and continue filling holes. Last night, whatever, we left off with straightening out this firewall here. Looks 100 times better. I'm way happier with it. So we're going to continue on with welding up some holes. We also got to grind down these few bolts here, get rid of those and weld those up. Obviously I got to grind him up. I missed him, so I did off camera. I sandblasted a couple of spots that I felt needed it. So yeah, let's just continue on with getting this stuff welded up. There's a lot left to do on this little firewall here, so Alright, I'll be back. I gotta get some grinders and stuff to take these bolts off, and we gotta clean this guy up. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm gonna take this and try and take these edges off. So this, it's like they stamped the metal out and then they put the bolt in there and then they folded this edge, the edges of the stamped metal out over the bolt. So I'm gonna just grind off the tops and we should be able to pop the bolt out, or the nut out, the square nut, and then we should be able to grind it down flat. And I may need to make a couple of squares, well, 4 of them to fit in there, but we'll see once we get it out. Okay, so if you see these, as I grounded them out, you can see that there's a circle. There's a circle in all of them. So, and it must be from whatever they stamped it with. If you look here, like I had actually started to grind through that circle. So I'm just gonna make them a circle instead of, you know, cutting out squares and putting them in there. We're just gonna make it a circle. Maybe get the one with more ugga-duggas. That other one, I love that one, but those batteries are shot. They're probably 15 years old. I wish I had a little bit bigger of one. Like 2 sizes bigger, I think would be perfect. Alright, so this one's really close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this out. I'm going to trace 4 of them out and we'll get them cut out and ground down. You guys watched me do that with all the other circles, so I'm not going to make you guys watch me do it again. So when I get these circles made, we'll be back to weld them in. So we pretty much got everything in the center welded up, except for where the old gas pedal went. So I don't know exactly how the new gas pedal is mounting in there, but it's all electronic. So we might have a couple of nuts and bolts that go through there, but we need to get rid of that old pedal placement, and I have the piece made for it. But I think instead of me like getting down here and sitting down here and burning the crap out of myself, I think I'm gonna weld it up from the inside. So, most of the center is done. We are gonna cut all this out, and I'm gonna make a new piece to go in there, and that'll get welded in. There's just so much going on in this area. I might as well just cut it out and put a new piece in, instead of trying to weld all that up. We do have this piece over here as well that we got to do. We got this over here that we still need to weld up. There's a bunch of cracks, there's some missing pieces of metal, there's a bunch of holes that were drilled in it, whatnot. We are going to be putting a new brake pedal in this thing. So this master cylinder and all this whole brake unit here needs to come off so that I can get the pedal out so that we can swap out the pedal assembly on it. Now the housing unit, whatever, I think is going to be staying. I don't know. The guy that owns this has a newer model complete brake assembly. Now not this, just the inside. So I don't know if that's gonna mount up with this. We know what's in there mounts up, but the brake is... Alright, so what I was saying before you guys so rudely ran out of battery. So brake pedals all jacked up in there. They hacked up, welded together, unsafe. So we're going to be replacing that brake pedal. So I need to remove this. There's this steel plate here that somebody added to it. It's an 1/8 inch plate. It's there for structural purposes for this brake setup. I want that to stay, but if you can see, it goes up about 1/4 inch above this body line here. So I would actually like to remove that, cut like 1/4 inch off of it, and then put it back in place so that that body line is showing. And then it'll get painted with the Firewall and everything. I'll probably end up putting some seam sealer around it or something. I thought about welding it in place, but I'm worried about with pushing on the brake all the time that it might crack. So I think seam sealer would be better. But anyways, so I think that's where we're headed. You know, it might be easier to weld up some of these over here with the brake booster missing. And then, like I said, inside here, like, you know, I think that gas pedal would be easier to weld up there. We have this one over here, which used to be the high beam, low beam setup, which with this thing going all electronic, I know that he has talked about putting a different steering column in here, something newer like a billet, I did it column or something like that. And if that's the case, the bright lights would be on that. So he told me that he wasn't hooking it back up, the old button on the floor. So we're gonna shave that and get rid of that. And unfortunately, with shaving that and getting rid of that, it's behind here. It's behind this whole body brace thing. so we can't get to it. But with the holes that are in the body brace, you're gonna be able to see it. So what I'm thinking is that there was these things that I pulled out. Let me get this bag open real quick. This is all the stuff that I pulled off the Firewall already. Where you at? So I removed a whole bunch of these things. And it just looks like a button head, like what you would have on a snap-up jacket, that pops through on the inside and is held together with this little springy metal. So what I'm thinking of doing is a couple of those holes where I can't get to them to grind them up or clean them up. I'm gonna pop these through, and then we'll put a couple of tacks on the inside so that it's held in place, and then we'll cut these little springies off. I think there's 2 or 3 holes in there that we're gonna have to do that to. And then that way, if you look through the hole, through the engine compartment, you're not seeing this this ugly weld that I can't get to. You're just seeing the top of this button head. And then as far as the big hole where the button actually went through, the high beam button went through, I have a piece of metal already ready to go in there. And I think I'm just gonna tack it in a few spots, and then we'll put some seam sealer around it. You know, it's gonna get undercoated or not undercoated, but bed lined on the inside. And on the outside, I don't know, maybe we'll smear a little seam sealer. I can get my fingers in there. So maybe we'll smear a little seam sealer in there just so that the crack's filled, so that water can't get in it. And then, you know, I'm gonna try my best to blow some paint in there, or undercoating, whatever we're gonna do. You know, down here, you know, this is all gonna get painted blue. But somewhere in here, we're gonna, I think we're just gonna probably fade it up, is some undercoating. So, you know, I should be able to like shoot some undercoating inside there and make it, you know, look as good as possible. You know, I think a lot of this, like, we're gonna sandblast all this and make it look good because it's gonna get painted blue. But some of this inside there, you know, you can't really get in there, but I mean, if you look, I mean, you see all the caulk somebody has smeared in there and everything like that. So I'm not gonna be able to get all that cleaned out, and I'm not gonna be able to get in there and sandblast all that. So I think we'll end up going in there with the brush with some POR 15, and then it'll get undercoated in there. So, and the bottom of the floor is getting undercoated, I think. I'm not sure yet. We'll see when we get there. Who knows? You know, I'm gonna have the brakes disconnected. I might just disconnect the steering, and then it's 4 bolts and the cab's off, and we can set the cab on its back and flip it up, and we can paint the whole bottom of the truck. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I mean, we got a lot of work to do before we're to the point of getting ready to paint. But you know, that may be something I might entertain doing. It would look a lot nicer if we did it that way. But anyways, we will yeah, we'll come back at it. I'm gonna stop talking now, and I'm just kind of running through things in my head, and I'm spitting them out to you guys. So, but I'm gonna go eat some lunch, take a break, check out my foot that I burned, and we'll be back out here a little bit later to probably disassemble the brakes and maybe start welding up the last of the holes on the driver's side. you know, we're getting close. I said that there was 92 holes that we had to weld up. I'd say we probably got 70 of them welded up. So we're getting close. I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm out. So we left off the other day. I don't know if we got this on video yet. I know I didn't film it while I was doing it, but I got the brake stuff all disconnected here and tied up. I got the brake pedal out. We have the new gas pedal here so that we can get that fitted in place. So the whole reason that I pulled the brake thing out, well, two reasons. One, I pulled it out for, we gotta do something about that brake pedal. It's not done very nicely. So we gotta do that. And then there's some holes back here that I think would have been easier to get to with the brake thing out of our way. Another thing that I wanted to do was, they had this plate on the firewall here, where this mounts and where the brake booster mounts, for extra strength, of course, which is a great idea because even though this metal's thick, like, you know, pumping on the brake constantly, you're gonna weaken that metal there, it's gonna start cracking. So we need to trim this down a little bit because they have it like overlapping some of the beautiful body lines that are on here. That is the whole reason why we're saving this firewall, because you can't duplicate what they have there. Or at least I can't. I don't have the proper tooling and machining for it. So I was also thinking, now that I have all this apart, once we get this trimmed, the reason that they had this on the outside is because of the body lines that they actually were covering with this plate wouldn't allow you to put this on from the inside, because the body lines, you know, are sticking out on the inside, so you couldn't flush mount this on the inside of the firewall. But I'm thinking once we trim it down so that it's no longer covering the body lines, we should be able to mount this from the inside, which will be nice. But of course, when I pulled that plate off, there is five more holes behind it that we're gonna have to weld up. So our 92 holes are now up to 97 holes. But I'm gonna grab the grinder. We're gonna get to work kind of just grinding this up and cleaning this metal up, and hopefully, you know, get some more stuff welded up right now. So there's another hole I just found, 98 holes. There's another one that I didn't know was there, 99. Probably about 100 holes we're welding up here. I bet if I recounted them, we'd be at 100. Another one that was just filled with caulk that I didn't see. We're at 100 now, for sure. Okay, let's hope we don't get any more welding slag down in my shoe. the last video, I had a piece of welding slag fall down into my shoe, and it was pretty bad. It got infected pretty bad, and I was in a lot of pain. But I think we're okay now. I just gotta not do it again. So. Okay, we got everything welded up except for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holes that they're just too. They're much bigger than some of the other ones that we've welded up that I was using my little hole punch circle for. I held it up there, it's just way too small. So I'm gonna have to cut a couple out of some just, some sheet metal, and we'll finish welding up those last few things. There's a couple of them that I may have already made that probably hit the floor with all the work that we've done, so I'm gonna search around the floor too and see if I can find anything that got dropped, because I do see some that are lettered up there that I don't have sitting up on the firewall anymore. So they either got used somewhere else or they're on the floor. So I'll be back once I get these last few things ready to be buttoned up, and then we'll finish up welding. There's still a couple that are on the floorboard that I think I'm going to hit from inside. I explained over here where the headlight switch used to be on the floor. We're just going to tack a couple things in place there because I can't get in there to grind it. So yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys back here once I get some stuff cut out. See you guys soon. Okay, so we're back. I had left off with I was going to trim out some little holes here to fill out some stuff. Now there's a couple of bigger ones that, yes, I do have to trim something out for those. I thought I had one for this one, but it's not up here anymore, and I couldn't find it laying on the ground. I had said some stuff hit the ground, and I did pick those up, but that one, I didn't find it. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe I used it somewhere else. But I decided anyways, instead of cutting out a whole bunch of little circles for these medium-sized holes, I'm just going to use my copper backing plate. It's a magnetic copper backing plate from Mako, I believe. I'm just going to use that to weld them up. It'll be a lot faster than sitting there trying to cut out all these circles. So yeah, that's where we're at. So it's actually been several days since I shut you guys off and said that I was gonna trim out those circles. We had a lot going on around here, so this is my first day back out here at it, and in that time period I've had some time to think about what we were gonna do, and this was what I decided. We gotta do those over there. So I think we're gonna change positions here. Now that I got those two welded up, I'm gonna put the brake booster back temporarily, but I'm gonna put it back, and then we'll come around the other side here and we'll weld this stuff up. Where this ain't in our way, I'm not having to climb in and out of here anymore. Well, I'm not saying anymore, because once we get these last few holes welded up, I still have this big one down here I got welded up. I still got the gas pedal stuff here I got to weld up. And we're going to cut this section out and put a flat piece of metal in there and weld that in. But I think I'm going to do all that stuff from inside once I get the floor all cut out, because then I can set my seat in there and I can sit in there and just go to town. So, but once we get these welded up, we're gonna go through and we're gonna start grinding all this down and smoothing it all out, metal wise. So, and then once we get it all smoothed out, like I said, we're gonna cut the floor out, and then I'm gonna work on this stuff. That'll be sometime this week, and then we gotta put the motor back in, and then I gotta cut, drill, whatever, our holes for our new electrical to go through, and anything else. I think the only thing that goes through here is the electrical. So, and I was looking at it, it's probably a hole this size that we're gonna drill somewhere, maybe over here, maybe in the center. It all depends on, I seen the wiring harness the other day. I gotta get the motor set in here and then bring the wiring harness over here, plug everything in and see where it lands at. So, but much cleaner look than all these. It's got a nice little rubber boot that plugs into the hole that we're gonna drill. I can't wait to get this done, man. There's just so many holes in here. I was looking at some pictures the other day of, I don't know, it was a 33 or 34 Ford pickup that I did, and I was looking at pictures of the Firewall. And I had to do this on that Firewall, but it wasn't even a quarter of this. So what I did was I went and I hit these cracks where they were actually, the metal was level with each other. Now I gotta go inside and tap some of this out, or maybe some of it has to be tapped in. We'll see. But I didn't want stuff that was lined up, I didn't want that to move, so you know, put a couple tacks in it so it don't move. More lined up. Alright, I think we're ready to weld all this up. I'll give you a few minutes for my welding helmet to charge. I have a hard time seeing without that light. I'm going blind. So it was completely dead. I plugged it in a few minutes ago. So I'm going to give it a few minutes to finish charging. Well, not finish charging, but charge up. So I at least have enough to go through and finish this up here. So I'll be back. Quick break. Get some popcorn and some soda. That was a bad area. There was a lot of cracks there, but I think we got them all. So I think it's time to start grinding some stuff up now. I'm gonna get some grinders together with some fresh discs, and we'll get to grinding. Little pinhole that needs to be welded up. So this one here, you can see that it's not the prettiest. That is not one that I patched, and there are several like this on here. It is something that is stamped in the metal that has like a couple of little pieces that are connected on each side that you use a screwdriver and you can push them out and run a wire through it. It's there from the factory, so it's almost like the piece of metal is behind the firewall, and that's why it looks like this. It's just like if you know home electrical boxes, and they have those plugs that you knock out so that you can run the wire through into your switch box or outlet box or whatnot. It's the same thing here. They did it from the factory. And I didn't punch them out and make a new piece to go in there and weld it so that it was flush. I just welded what they had. And that's why it's all kind of sunk in like that and doesn't look the best. We'll put some Marglass over that and it'll be gone. But that's factory that I just welded up. Alright, well, we got everything welded up today, and we got, you know, a good portion of it started, grinding it down. I don't think I can complain. You know, there's a couple of things like, you know, this stuff up here, like, that's as much as it's going to get grinded. These were actually bolts that were indented in there. If you go back and look at the videos of me welding this stuff up, this is where the wiper motor went. So it had indents around it. These I welded up, this I made a patch. So we're never gonna get it perfect with the metal unless I go back and I re-weld everything, and I'm not. For this, you know, particular vehicle or firewall, you know, the whole we're gonna put a skim coat over everything. So you know, you've seen from us doing the bed, I mean, there is filler going back on this truck. So I'm not trying to metal finish it to perfection. You know, this truck was you know, it was in bad shape. So for us to bring it back to what we're bringing it back to, I'm perfectly okay with what we have here. So, you know, we'll come back tomorrow. We should be able to get it all finished grinding up tomorrow. You know, may have to go back and weld a couple of pinholes. There was a couple over here that I did go back and hit already. So there's a couple things over here on just the outside of the firewall that I think I'd like to weld up tomorrow, like this. You know, this is where that fender mounted, and it was all cracked here from the fender pulling on it for years. We have the same thing going on over here that I have yet to weld up. So let's get that welded up tomorrow. Then there's a bolt hole that's down here on the bottom of the fender or the bottom of the cab corner that we eliminated on this side. So I'm just gonna weld it up over here so that both sides match. We left off with doing some grinding, getting some stuff cleaned up. So we're gonna continue on with it today. Thanks for joining us. So there's this little, you guys not even watching. Oh yeah. So there's this little thing going on right here. Looks like at some point in time, I don't know, maybe they were drilling a hole and whatever. It looks like it's been cut. It's not rust. I mean, it's rusting, but it looks like it was originally cut. And the battery tray goes here. You'll never see it. And they have these little notch outs that are from the factory. So I'm just going to put a little notch out that matches these so that it looks factory. And then the battery tray goes there anyway, so you'll never see it. But I was debating on, you know, trying to weld it up or cutting it out and replacing it, whatnot. And this was, I think this is the best idea. It just saves time. So, this whole spot that I'm working on right now, if I had to guess, like the original motor, that would have been where the throttle cable came through, if I had to guess. So it's kind of angled in. It's got an indent at the top. It's bubbled out at the bottom. Could have cut it out and just put a flat piece in there and smoothed it all out. But I thought it was, I don't know, kind of cool to leave it in there. So, you know, it's shaved, it's smooth, but it still has that original feature to it. So that's, you know, I'm just kind of trying to smooth out the weld that's in this indent that's from the factory. So. Set up the welder real quick. Let's try that again. I missed it every time. So. That's good. No, we got it. Alright, you guys died in there. I don't know when. I must have been in the middle of grinding because I didn't hear it. But we got all this grinded up. I still have one right up here that I got to grind. I just had my little mat down on the floor, and I was sitting down underneath here, and I was grinding the ones that were down there. Grinded up this section. So we just have this one and then this little section right here left. So let's see, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock right now. I'm gonna finish this one up real quick. Maybe we'll finish it all, I don't know, we'll see. You know, 20 years ago, you know, I'd have been working out here till, you know, 3, 4 in the morning, not giving a hoot about who I was disturbing or what my neighbors thought. You know, now that I've gotten older, I try and be a little respectable. of my neighbors. I make a lot of noise as it is, so I don't need to be making it, 24/7. Alright, well, we got everything ground down as far as welds go. I pointed out before that a couple of these were factory things that I just welded up, and that's why it's so much lower, because it was actually behind. Instead of me cutting out what they had, I just welded it up. All my stuff I tried to fit as flush as possible. But some of this factory stuff was actually from behind. So there was a big indent to fill in. So, it got welded up, ground down, but that's why you can still see a couple of them. And like I've said before, I can go in and fill all this stuff up with some weld and grind it so that it's flat. But the more I grind on it, the more the metal is going to get thin. Or the more material we're gonna remove, it will start causing issues later on down the road. If there was just one or two little holes that I had to fill on this firewall, like, I would have made sure that they were perfect. I counted 100, at least 100 holes, if not more, that we had welded up. We were at like 97 until I took the brake booster off, and then there was like 10 more behind the brake booster that we had to weld up. So it put us, at the 100 or over 100, whatnot. There's a couple that are over here that they're actually this metal's actually dented here. It'll get fixed with filler. Remember, we had this all caved in. That we straightened all that out. There's just so much going on with this firewall. There's so many dents. There were so many holes to weld up. It was caved in for a previous motor to fit. I'm not trying to make this firewall perfect in the metal work. We're gonna make it perfect in the filler. So it is what it is at this point. It's all grinded up. All the holes are gone. I was going through with some 80 grit here. This was just 80 grit that I was stripping the paint off with. So we'll come back tomorrow, and I'll hit this some more with some 80 grit. We'll get as much cleaned up as we can with 80 grit. Then we'll come in, we'll sandblast the rest. So I hate sandblasting. I don't want to sandblast this whole firewall. I'd rather keep it to a minimum. So we're gonna, strip as much of it off as we can with grinders, sanders, whatnot, and then come in with the sandblasting. We still have this stuff here that's got to get cut out and filled. We have this hole down here which has got to get filled. That stuff we're gonna do from inside. I think hopefully it'll be easier to do from inside. Maybe not, maybe not. I'm either way. I gotta climb in and out of stuff, so. But yeah, we'll see. So tomorrow we'll finish getting this cleaned up, and then I gotta debate and think. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna jump inside and cut out the floor and get this cut out and get that patched and get this patched? Or do I put the motor back in and run all the wiring and figure out where the wiring's going to go? Is it going to go here? Is it going to go here? I know ones that I've done in the past, we've routed them down in the middle, but we had the harnesses were actually custom made to the measurements that we gave them. Now this one, it is a custom made harness, but it's kind of, he didn't give them no measurements. It's just kind of a universal. So not sure where, you know, I could be running it down under here and popping up. I could be in the center, could be over here, could be over here. I don't know where we're gonna go. I would like to try and keep it down low. I don't want it up here. I don't want all this wiring showing. I would rather kind of keep it down low and you know, have it, worst case scenario, if you're looking around inside, maybe you'll see it come in through the floor and up the firewall on the inside. But I would rather see that than in the engine compartment. So we'll have to see. We'll continue on with cleaning up some of the paint. I just have some 80 grit on my grinders, and we're just trying to strip the paint. We're going to strip as much as we can, and then we'll sandblast the rest. Tomorrow is Money Monday, so we'll be on the money tomorrow, but hopefully Tuesday. I'm probably going to tape some plastic over here and make a little cocoon for myself, and we'll get in here and we'll get all this sandblasted on Tuesday. So but I'd like to try and get some more of this paint cleaned up. Whatever we can get to with the grinders, we're going to make sandblasting a little easier. So. Alright, well, I think that's it for tonight. So I didn't think I was going to do much tonight. I just wanted to get a little bit more grinded down, and I think we accomplished that. It looks good. Next, we'll get set up for some sandblasting. And we're going to sandblast everything. I may come in before we sandblast. And I may clean up like this lip here where the hood actually sits, and along the sides of the firewall where the fenders mount. I may come in there and hit that with the grinder real quick, and then get that all sandblasted as well with the firewall. Just make it easier a little later on down the road. It is all kind of the same nooks and crannies that we've got to get into, so we might as well get that done as well. And then I think like the lower extremities of that firewall, I think instead of me, you know, getting down inside the engine compartment and sitting on the floor and grinding all that down, I think we'll just hit that with the sandblaster real fast and kind of is what it is type thing. Prior to this, I don't know if they were all like that, but this one, you know, you can see this one's been red and it's been orange, and I think there's a brown in there. So the firewall's been painted a couple of times, but that lower section looks to me like it was maybe a very light coat of black that was down on that bottom, that didn't have any protection or anything like that. So it's actually a mixture of surface rust and black paint that's down there. So I think we'll just get that sandblasted up. That is going to go blue this time. We're not going to do the black. You know, it was color on the top and black on the bottom. We're going to do all color this time. So, you know, we'll get that all sandblasted and cleaned up, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. I do want to, there is a little bit of rust and cracks, and a little bit of rot, I would say, that is down in the lower pockets of the body mount structure. And my plan for that, instead of cutting it all out and replacing it all, there's lots of metal there. There's several layers. You know, I can count 3 right now that I see, actually four layers of metal there. And what my plans are is once we get it all sandblasted, I'm gonna POR 15 in there just to try and stop whatever rust doesn't come out with the sandblaster and protect it. And then I am going to take 1/8 inch plate steel. I have brand new stuff over there, but just, you know, some 1/8 inch plate steel, and I'm gonna cut some squares out. We'll round all the corners really nicely. We'll drill a hole in the center, and then that's gonna go on top that the bolt will go through, and it'll just kind of sandwich everything. You won't see any of the bad areas then, and it will give extra strength, just kind of sandwiching everything together. So, but yeah, so that's, you know, that's something that we may do here shortly with up front as well. That is just something that's got to get done. Another thing with so this piece that I had picked up, they actually had this on the firewall up here on the outside, and the brake booster mounted to it. It's for strength. I agree with it, but I don't agree with it being on the outside. I want it on the inside. So I was going to trim a little bit off of this so that it would fit on the inside. I think we're actually going to kind of redesign this a little bit. I'm probably going to end up making this out of a new piece of steel. So on the inside of the firewall, on the outside the brake booster mounted to this. If I put it on the inside, then the actual brake pedal assembly mounts to the back of this. So still serves the same purpose. It still adds all the strength in there. Instead of it just all being bolted to sheet metal, it's actually, you know, kind of sandwiched in there with this. But we have to mount this gas pedal in here too. This is a drive-by-wire electronic gas pedal assembly, and the brake booster, or the brake assembly goes in there, and we're actually going to mount this right next to the brake assembly in there. So I think I'm actually going to remake this, and we're going to remake it a little bit longer, and I may have to put a little bend in it to fit the bend in the firewall, and then the gas pedal will actually mount to this as well. You know, we made drill some holes and tap this plate, and then the gas pedal assembly can just mount straight to the plate with the brake pedal assembly. We do have that brake pedal assembly I've showed you guys in other videos, or maybe you've caught it in other videos. Somebody has cut it and extended it, and they welded a plate on each side, and it's booger welded, it's ugly, it doesn't look good. So I actually got different brake and clutch assembly out of a 49 Ford. So we're gonna take this one over here that's on the left, and we are going to make it work in this truck. Part of the reason when they cut it and extended it, they actually have it going around the steering column. So if I use that one, which it's actually the clutch pedal on that one, it actually goes around the column like what they did in this truck already. So they had the gas pedal on one side of the column, and then the brake comes around the other side of the column. I don't know what it's supposed to be like from the factory, but they have modified it to work like that. So we're just gonna kind of do the same thing that they did, minus the whole cut and plate and booger weld thing that they have in there. I'm actually gonna take the brake pedal, arm, everything out of that assembly. And there's like a round bar up there that has a bolt through it. We're gonna cut that off of the factory assembly for this truck. I'm gonna pull that pedal out of that one. We're gonna cut the same thing, the thing that the bolt goes through. We're gonna cut it off of that one, and then I'm gonna switch it over, and we'll weld it to the factory one from this one. And then I'll probably come in from the top with two plates, kind of like they did in the center of the arm. I'll come in from two plates, so it'll get welded from the bottom, and then we'll come in with two plates from the top, and that'll get all welded up there. So that way, all the welds are hidden up at the top where it actually assembles, instead of down in the middle where they have it now. So this is what I'm talking about. So, you know, that's ugly. I don't like it. So we're gonna fix it so that it's just the arm coming down. And then all the welding will be up inside here where you don't see it. So instead of being able to see where it's at, you won't. It'll all be hidden. And as long as this one's long enough, which I think it might be, you know, if you look at those, I mean, I'm gonna use the other side, but whatever they did to extend it, like, we're the same length, so I don't have to extend this one from the Ford. We just gotta install it. And you know, for all I know, I don't think, like, looking up in this one at the assembly that's in there, what I'm talking about at the top, how we're gonna cut the round part off where the bolt goes through, on this one, it looks like it's about that big around. On this one, you can see it's massive. So I don't think that this one is just gonna work in there. It may, we'll find out. But that is something that is going to be coming up here shortly, because I think it's going to be a lot easier to do all this with the floor out, because then I can sit down on the ground under there and just have it, you know, right here in my face while I'm working, instead of doing it with the floor in it and having to lay on my back up underneath the dashboard. So when we get all this sandblasted on Tuesday, the very next thing that we're gonna do, whether it be Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, whatever, the very next thing that we're gonna do after we get the sandblasting done is we're gonna cut the floor out, and I'm gonna start this because it's another large task that needs to be done. The brake pedal assembly, you know, it was kind of one of those things where, you know, it doesn't look good, but it works. So does it really need to be fixed? You know, my buddy that owns the truck, you know, he doesn't want to keep putting more and more money into this thing. I mean, we're damn near, you know, frame off restoration with it, but I can't let that go. That looks horrible. So we're gonna do that, and I got to get under there and do the gas pedal anyway. So we might as well just do it all, and enough rambling on. So that's what you could look forward to in the next week: firewall sandblasting and gas pedal and brake pedal reconstructive surgery, I guess we could say. So, but yeah, so that's it. I'm done talking. I'm out. You guys have a good day. Stay safe in the storms out there. And remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. I'm out.